Good mythical morning, everyone. It's one and only V the Gorilla, and I'm coming to you live. I am that talking piano in the background of that avatar, and I have with me my main man, Algo Cowboy, who's working the airways, making sure this broadcast is coming out crispy and clean. You know what I mean? Check us out, roguenews.com. Rogue News on every single platform and podcasting app known to humanity. We're everywhere you want us to be, plus a bag of chips. And check out our paid sponsor, AlgoFactory.tech. AlgoFactory.tech. Learn to trade like a hedge fund pro. Chaos is erupting, and the circle jerkers of AI and tech stocks are circle jerking their way to phantom profits, which we all know will end in a massive bubble. Learn to take advantage of such market moves and be persistent and pragmatic when it comes to understanding the way the market is and learn to profit from it. AlgoFactory.tech, they're giving away a free algorithm. Take advantage of that, folks. With that being said, Cowboy, good morning, buddy. How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. Man, I was just watching the news cycle. It's freaking insane, and it's hard to make heads or tails of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like trading on fundamentals. It's just not recommended.
No.
At least with trading, I can look at the chart and be like, oh, okay, this thingy right here tells me that. Like when you're looking at the news and who's saying what, it's like, okay, so are Trump and Maduro secretly friends? It's hard to know anything anymore.
I don't think so, man. I have my own opinions on that. I think you know what it is. It's like, we all want. All right. I'm going to put on the geostrategic.
Like we're supposed to be friends with Colombia, but
yeah.
Against Colombia right now. We're supposed to be enemies with Venezuela, but Chevron is getting ready to do business in Venezuela, and we didn't stop what went on with Guyana. Like there's a lot of things that don't add up or make sense.
No, it doesn't. I'll put on my geopolitical thinking cap. I will say this. Look, and I've looking at guys that I talk to on the eastern side of things in Asia and China and Russia, and then I talk to guys here in the U.S. and the West and in Europe. It's really remarkable, right? It's really remarkable, and I'm not taking shots here or anything like that. I'm just calling it for what it is. If I offend anyone, I apologize. I'm not meaning to offend. The guys on the eastern side of the planet, they're very much more pragmatic. They're not giving it to any sort of a fairy tale that or juxtaposition or some sort of an idea that there's some grandiose 4D master plan being played out with multiple characters and and what we're seeing on the surface is not what is actually occurring. They have a very Occam's razor type approach to geopolitical and events. Yeah, there is some back end room deals here and there, but when you start seeing the chess pieces moving, like how can you? Okay, these guys are, Venezuela. Take for example, we've tried overthrowing them several times, right? We have a naval armada, a naval ships off the coast of Venezuela. We have the Marines have been mobilized and heading there. So everything in the picture doesn't show that, hey, you know what, they're really secretly friends, Maduro and Trump, and they're cutting deals to help boost the oil profits and this, that, and the other. And what private corporations do with private corporations, that's just the private corporation's business, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that there's some what's it called? Some sort of grand strategy with Americans at large. I mean, we've seen this with Iran. There's been American companies that have done business with Iran through proxy, no less. I mean, who was clearing a lot of the crap for PNB Paribas when they were doing the Iranian refinery deals with Total Petroleum? Who was clearing every single one of those wires? J.P. Morgan.
And have we invaded Iran?
Exactly. No, we haven't. But all the I mean, we have in the past.
Did we basically stop a war that was just going on between Israel and Iran?
No, we'd like to take credit for it. I mean, we stopped it by begging the Iranians to stop, right? Because Israel, our greatest ally, would have been a smoldering ruin.
Did we drop a couple of M80s and pretend that we damaged their nuclear capabilities and told the
Well,
whole world we did.
we dropped bunker busters, okay, and it went on the best intel of what we had of where their nuclear facilities would be. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
So
you and I both knew ahead of time that those bunker busters would have no effect
no
because
effect.
Forgo was.
You and I,
So if
exactly.
you and I know that, you
Yeah.
don't think that the people who dropped those knew that too?
No, well, here's the thing, right? This is what I call symptomatic. It's like everybody here who's an analyst of what's happening in the United States and the Western world, right, is given over to some sort of a fantasy of something happening, which is really not their fault because Western leaders and Western planners are also given over to fantasy. Case in point, we keep poking the bear, right? We keep poking the bear. We keep, wanting to escalate and confront. It's always through what's the word? It's always through confrontation that we are interacting with the world, and we interact that way because we believe in the fantasy that our weapon systems are the best in the world, that everything that our military incompetent complex makes is the best in the world. Our military is the best in the world. Our economy is the largest in the world. We don't have the systemic problems that everybody else has. These are all fantasies. And when you base that on fantasy, you think that our country is actually run by benevolent, competent people. They're not. This country is not run by benevolent, competent people. Even when you look at private equity, even when you look at some of the most wealthiest individuals running around the United States, right? Some of the most stupidest short-term decisions you could ever imagine.
Yeah, well, I think I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
If you look at guys like Larry Ellison, you think Larry Ellison has some long-term strategy, except more and more pilfering of the market by increasing his stock valuation so he can get more value out of his net worth, right? I mean, there's no strategy here. 40% of the Dow the companies that are on the Dow don't make any money. There's no grand strategy here. Everything, like my buddy who was, a client of mine who was on the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the NRC, who also served as part of America's nuclear triad back during the Cold War, said it best. Everything is on a run to failure mentality. So when I'm talking to guys who are actually in it, who are actually in some of the most highest levels of tinkering and talking and decision making, and they're just absolutely flummoxed by the lack of any sort of strategy or long-term play here, that when they're sitting there slack saying, hey man, there is no long-term strategy, everything's a run to failure. When people like Peter Schweitzer puts out a book about money in politics, that every single politician, what they do is not really worried about the world, because after all, the worldview is we're the greatest in the world, we're the best in the world, America is a fortress, Pax Americana, nothing will happen to us. And all they do is they rely upon that fantasy while they spend every waking day of every minute of every waking hour to run for office and re-election and campaigning constantly. Financialization has ruined this country. Financialization has ruined politics. Financialization has ruined the military, has ruined every facet of American life. It's ruined our food supply, for God's sakes. There's no long-term strategy, only short-term profits, only short-term games. Why do you think we bailed out Milei? Look, Milei's party won the midterms, and he's thanking Trump, and he's saying that, well, we will continue to defend Western civilization. Bullshit. It has everything to do with Scott Bessen's bond market buddies, particularly Robert Citron in Argentina and Argentinian bonds. That's what it has to do. Everybody's getting a cut. If you think that Trump's not getting a cut out of this deal, you're insane. Everybody's getting a cut. That's all it is. It's a bunch of thugs and mafia bosses in a dying empire cutting deals left and right, trying to extract as much profit as they can before the whole shit goes up in flames. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. There's no long-term strategy here, folks. There's quite a few. There's a couple of people with some long-term strategies in the United States, but that's the vocal. That's not even a vocal minority. It's like, what is the outcome? When you really look at the outcome, when you get rid of all the fantasy and you look at the real brass tacks, the real freaking numbers, it's a different analysis. It's a different view. And that's what people need to grasp here. I talked to guys in Russia, guys in China. They don't have these machinations. They don't have this. There's some great 3D chess, 4D chess, and this is going to happen, dude. You have to take into account on how the population is. Let me put it to you this way: all of us on September 10th. So a prominent public figure get his neck blown off live on the air. Did we all knew. We all know that the official story coming out from the FBI, from Freaky Boys International, right, is bullshit. It's fake. It doesn't make any sense. Are we up in arms? Right? Are we, and I'm not talking about violent resistance here. I'm talking about, are we on the picket line in front of the government, in front of DC, in front of the Capitol Hill, protesting this? Are we had enough of all these bureaucracies and whatnot? Are we doing, do you see what I'm saying? Are we civically engaging with the government in a very aggressive manner, doing things to end the private wealth and private equity that is so and lobbying that is so involved within our government? Are we fighting to end that? Are we rising up to end term limits? Are we holding intelligence agencies accountable? Have we dragged a lot of these foreign interests out into the sunlight and exposed them for who they are and telling them to go kick rocks? Don't ever come do business here in the United States. Don't try to manipulate our politicians and buy out our senators. No, none of that is happening. What happened after this guy got his neck blown off? The next day, we all went back to work, and we all bitch and complain that the price of beef is up, the price of eggs is still up, the price of energy is still up, that all these things, there's inflation, that the job market is atrociously bad. It's horrible. That's what we did. But somehow there's some plan to enervate the entire American population, and they're going to come rally the troops. They're going to come rally around the Constitution. They're going to come rally around whatever and execute this grandiose plan to save America. Folks, that's a pipe dream. We are in the same, if you look at history repeats itself and history rhymes. Our population has the same apathy that Germany had, right? The same apathy that the Soviet Union has, the same apathy that Pol Pot's Cambodia had, the same apathy. We're no different. We've convinced ourselves we're somehow magical. We're the unicorn. We're the magical unicorn, and this is the never-ending story, and Atreyu is going to save us. No, it's not. There's nothing magical about this. We are following to a T, not some 3D strategy, but we are following to a T historical events, historical guidelines that always lead to civilizational collapse, paradigm shifts, and the end of empires. We're no different. We're not special, folks. We're not special. And the faster we realize we're not special and there's nobody coming to save us, the faster we can start turning this ship around. That's what I'm trying to say. Cowboy.
Oh, I'm good to go, man. I've already planned for all of this, and I have a basement full of Fancy Feast.
Good.
My Fancy
I
Feast
like
is,
kibbles and bits personally.
That's for dogs.
Well,
it's cat food. V.
Well, ever since I've been talking about cat food is becoming scarce, Cowboy. Have you seen inflation hitting cat food these days?
I know. I'm the one who bought it all. Why do you think the freaking price went up?
Insider buying. You should be investigated by Congress, my friend.
Well, I mean, okay, except I paid off Larry Ellison, so Congress will leave me alone.
Yep.
Yeah. Why do you think Larry Ellison was just able to sign a piece of paper and get like $400 billion?
Yeah, my EBT card is getting cut off, man.
We're on a freight train.
Yep.
And that freight train cannot be stopped until it crashes or until it runs out of juice. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that there is any turning it around. And one thing that we have a hard problem with understanding in our particular circle, okay, sure, you have a large bit of the population listening to like Nick Fuentes or something, like, sure, people are talking more, right? Yeah. But people don't know. They don't have. They still think China's bad. They still think Russia's bad. Like there's just not enough understanding from the public to
No,
fix
there is
things.
no geopol understanding. With
And
the
on
public.
top of that, you have, and that's just the conservative side of the picture. If you look at the idiot left, there's no saving them.
No.
They're just done. Like you're not bringing it, and okay, you'll have people say, oh, it's just a small percentage of them in their furry suits, and no, it's like talk to young people, you'll find out a huge percent. I'm like, not young, talk to the millennials and like the older Zoomers. They're done. There's no fixing them. They're orange man bad. They're Russia bad, China bad, sometimes both. Like my buddies from California, they hate the Chinese and they hate Russia. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
who the fuck do you want to work with in this world? So I don't think that there's.
We'll do it ourselves. Don't worry. We'll work with the Australians. They'll give us rare.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. They'll build like one submarine every 20 years. I think that what needs to be done is not going to happen until we see a lot of pain. And until then, you get a choice. Do you want to try to prepare for that pain? I mean, financial pain, if not more.
Yep.
Do you want to prepare for that pain? Whatever, all the preps and live where you want to live and stay away from the cities and all the things that everybody's been talking about for fucking 15 years in our circles? Or do you want to leave the country and go somewhere that you think would be better? And do you really think it's going to be better elsewhere? Right. So there's a lot of questions. Yeah, of course, weird Russia or natural allies. Whether we may not be allies now, but we literally, how far away is like U.S. territory from Russian territory? V in Alaska, is it like 50 miles or something?
Yeah, it's like closer to Russia's closer to us than Cuba is to Miami, bro.
Yeah, like so, and there are talks of building that out. But I think if we even tried to build out trade that way, like it would get derailed. And I don't. If what you were talking about is who's running our country and all this and that and the other. We've been so twisted up and screwed the last 100 years of who has the power in this country. I don't think it goes away until there is a severe collapse. And then,
Yep.
and I mean collapse, not like, oh, the world's going to end and it's Mad Max. And I'm just talking about a financial collapse, right? I'm talking about a depression. And until that happens, these same Ellison types are just going to have all this power. Now, not to say that they won't have power later, but the only hope that we have is that whoever is running things at that time does what they need to do to get those types out. And, whether it's people from another country or the Levant or whatever, the people need to be depowered, right? And you could go along with the EM line of thinking. They need to be offered to leave. And, we could watch Thursday's show if you want to go that route. But under any circumstance, if the adults don't take charge at that time, then this country is done. They'll never fix it. It just won't happen. So, now what can we do? We can prepare ourselves financially, do the best we can to have assets. I mean, if you've been listening to the Guerrilla as long as I have and working with him for those few less years than that, then you already have stacked the assets that you need and you should be in pretty good shape. I know people who, and I'm not, at the risk of kissing ass, my buddy here, V, I've got one guy that lives in another country. He will do anything we want on computer code and he won't ask for anything. He goes, well, that's because I've just made so much money listening to V the Gorilla, over the years.
Yeah.
So if you've been with us for that long, then you should be fine. Right. And if you're new, then there might still be time, but that's all I can say. Just prepare. And, I don't want to say hope for the best because we know how that goes. What do you think, V? Do you think we can fix it without a major depression or collapse?
No,
or do you think that's
it's going to collapse irrespective of what political parties in power or what anybody wants. This is going to collapse. When you have a speeding freight train, nobody can slam the brakes on this. It's so far gone. The question is not will it collapse. The question is who will control this the sphere of influence on the other side of this. Who's going to be the one who's going to pick up the pieces in this country? Which ideology is going to come up triumphant in the United States? Will there be a United States on the other side of this, or will we fracture and balkanize and become a bunch of fiefdoms that could go their own way, a bunch of states, or will we become like Brazil, right? A failed state like Brazil, which is absolute corruption from top to bottom, will just become like Brazil or Colombia, but with nukes. That's also a possibility. I can tell you right now, if effectively the United States is not a global superpower anymore, it really isn't. It hasn't been made official, but we're not a global superpower. We're a regional power. Hence the renewed focus in the Western Hemisphere. We're a regional power. Okay, we're not the largest economy in the world. It's those that know that. But eventually, once the alternatives have been built for the dollar to be done away with, it's going to get done away with, and there's not a damn thing we could do about it. Right? There's nothing. There's no threat. Nobody takes us seriously anymore with our threats. Case in point. Okay.
Well, mud hut countries do.
Yeah, the mud hut countries that don't know any better, but even the mud huts are shifting towards a multipolar world, and they understand that's where the growth and development is going to come from, right? Vladimir Putin, the Russians just unveiled their absolutely game-changing cruise missile. Trump 2 weeks ago, and I talked about sending Tomahawks to the Ukraine, which would just escalate the situation over there, right? We know for a fact from various Russian delegations that there has been zero talks from the Trump admin since the Alaska talks till now. There hasn't been any real talks between the two, okay? The Russians have just launched their, I believe it's called the Burevestnik missile. Okay.
I'll get it for you.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Okay.
I have it from I got it right here. Hold on.
Yeah.
Missile Burevestnik.
Yeah, Burevestnik. Burevestnik, folks, is a cruise missile that has unlimited range. They tested
it's nuclear powered.
It's nuclear powered. Can you imagine that? How the hell do you get a nuclear powered cruise missile? How do you get a reactor that small? Like that is technology that breaks our brains here.
Well, yeah, and let me jump in. Look, nuclear powered XYZ, as far as I know, like for submarines or power plants, that's all meant to power water to push steam through turbines. So what they've done is the way nuclear power works is that like a nuclear reaction will end in a large explosion. But if you can slow down that reaction with what I believe is heavy water, and I'm starting to get a little above my own head here, but I know that they slow down the reaction and then it creates heat for a very long time using a very small amount of energy source. And then that pushes that makes the water hot, steam goes through turbines make the electricity. This isn't that. If this is nuclear powered and is propelling a rocket through the sky, or a missile, one must understand they have found a way to make whatever nuclear fuel is in there to explode at a pretty fast rate and still stay at a consistent rate. I mean, this is like scientifically, this is simply amazing. Yes. It is simply remarkable how they've done this.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a marvel. I wanted to impress upon people what a marvel that is, and we're nowhere fucking near it.
Nowhere fucking near it. We have our Tomahawks, which we developed in 1973, and I think in 1981 or 82 they'd entered service, right? But dude, nothing. That has a 1,500-mile range. This thing, the Russians tested it for 14,000 kilometers, approximately almost 8,900 miles. But it has unlimited range. Theoretically, this fucker could literally fly around the world forever until it designates targets, and then it can go ahead and hit those targets. Like it could just, the loiter time on this thing is insane. It is insane. It could probably loiter maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks till whatever nuclear fuel source dries out. But can you imagine that? This is a game changer. We're not even capable of developing a reactor core that small. But don't worry, guys. Don't worry. But you know what we're really good at? Surveillance technology and dick pic apps. That's what we're really good at. Very good at. Look at Palantir, right? Right? Look at Ellison, all the crap they're building here, right? Supposedly, like, oh yeah, guys, I'm a huge military hardware fan. I've followed the development of every major fighter jet my entire lifetime. There's always, even in the development of the F-22s and the F-35s, whenever there's supposed to be a mass-produced air superiority or a multi-role fighter that's going to be the workhorse of the Air Force, you will always see flying test mules, and there's always press releases put out about it, especially testing this, that, and the other. This is how I know the F-47 is fake. There's not a single picture or video of it anywhere. It's all like 3D renderings and mock-ups. It's completely bullshit. Okay? Because we're not capable of it, because we've outsourced our supply chains. We outsource everything. We can't make anything anymore here. It's ridiculous. And whatever we can make takes forever. Aircraft carriers. It takes us 10 plus years to make an aircraft carrier, just one. So if we lose one, it'll take us 10 plus years to replace what we lost, right? China could belt out an aircraft carrier every 2 years, no issues, in record time. And that's only getting faster. Like we are having problems here, guys. Serious, serious problems. And now because the United States wants to run its mouth, right? Russia's like, oh, we got a cruise missile too. It'll just literally fly around. There's nothing you have in your arsenal that can stop it, and it'll hit any target in the world. That's terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying, right? So if there's some sort of this is all a game, why is everybody's ratcheting up and showcasing their latest weapon systems? Right? Everybody's on a threat display, and people and forces are responding accordingly, right? And with this, what does Trump do? Trump opens his mouth and says, they know that we have a nuclear submarine, the greatest in the world, right off their shores. We don't need to go 8,000 miles. Putin ought to end the war. A war that should have taken 1 week is now in its 4th year, he continued. That's what he ought to do instead of testing missiles. And then he also noted, we test missiles all the time. He said this perhaps to downplay the seriousness of the event in the exchange with reporters. They're not playing games with us, and we're not playing games with them either. We test missiles all the time, he said. While Russia first disclosed the test on Sunday, it actually took place October 21st, according to the Kremlin announcement. Folks, this is leagues and leagues and leagues of difference between what they're doing and what we're doing. And rather than trying to end, the Ukraine war ends when we stop the funding. The Ukraine war ends when we cut off weapon supplies to Ukraine. But we can't do that because there's foreign. There it is. Go ahead, man. Play it.
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to interrupt.
No, just do it. Do it. Yeah. Love that picture. You need to blow that up. And this is what they're showing. The one thing about Russians, if they show you something, they've already started work and testing on the next generation of that. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, they have a saying over there. It's and forgive me, I don't speak Russian, and I learned this like 25 years ago, but it's something like Tisha Yedish Dalsha Budish. And I think it means like move quietly and you will go far.
Yes.
And so they understand like they don't need to advertise that they might have done this not October 21st in 2025. It might have been like 2023.
Exactly.
They're smart over there. They're not stupid. And the thing is, like, and I'm not going to say too much here, but there are different ethnicities in Russia. It's a very large place, right? But everybody over there is Russian. It's like in China, it's everybody's Chinese. Yep. So they can make decisions. Yep. They don't have half the population fighting the other half.
No. They don't have idiots in Congress and the in government where they're just like this whole political process where it's stupid. They're run by.
He got rid of them. He got rid of those kind. Yeah. Whether they wanted that or not, he got rid of those type of people.
Yeah, over here we reward them and give them golden parachutes and tell them to not only run our country into the ground, but also the companies that they also run into the ground. Unreal. And then in other news as well, because we're such an amazing society, the amount of people that are about to run out of food stamps, bro. Right? And granted, this is a big problem. And now some people say, well, that's just a generation. Look, there are people that are living in California that have 2 or 3 jobs and they can't make ends meet because the cost of living is so damn high and it's difficult for them to move because of family and whatnot, right? There are Americans right now, even in red states, that require food assistance in order to make ends meet week after week. So it's not a red or blue thing. The respective media for both the blues and the red like to divide. Oh, that's a red state problem. Oh, that's a blue state problem. This is an American problem. There are fellow Americans that cannot make ends meet. There are those on fixed incomes, folks. Now, every single one of us like to think about like, oh, there's probably some Miguel or some Shaniqua or whatever who's on food stamps. You forget that there's millions of Americans of all color, of all race, of all backgrounds, of all ages, young kids, all the way to the elderly on fixed incomes, and those that are on disabilities who will not be able to make ends meet. This is not how it's supposed to be in a developed nation. This is ridiculous, right? And it also shows you the disparity of it all, right? The disparity of it all, where you have a 0.01%, guys like Ellis and whatnot, who make hundreds of billions of dollars off of phantom bullshit projects that doesn't even exist, number one, that don't make any sort of real wealth, and all they do is pilfer as much wealth as possible, number one, versus those who are working and can barely make ends meet. And that number is growing exponentially. It's only getting bigger. So it's remarkable witnessing this. More than 41 million Americans will go without food stamps next month if Congress does not vote to reopen the government in time. The U.S. Department of Agriculture stated on October 25th. With the government shut down now well into its 25th day, Senate Republicans and Democrats remain at an impasse over the expiring healthcare subsidies. Bottom line, the well has run dry. At this time, there will be no benefits issued November 1st. During fiscal year 2024, government's supplemental nutrition assistance program supported on average 41.7 million participants in 12.3% of the U.S. population every month. Anywhere between 4.8% and 21.2% of each state's population was on SNAP. The total spending for SNAP reached $99.8 billion, averaging $187.20 per participant per month, while the federal government fully funds the program. So, folks, not even a lot of money. It's averaging $187.20 per person per month. That's what we're looking at. $187.20. My point is this, Cowboy. I bring this up is this. How much did we spend in aid to Ukraine?
Oh, several orders of magnitude above that.
Right. How much did we spend on
it might as well be infinitely more.
Yeah. How much did we spend on Israel?
Oh, it's $8 billion a year.
Exactly.
And that's probably a fraction of what we really spend.
Exactly.
If you don't, that's just the number that we can point to, but there's probably multiples of that.
Right. And we just sent $20 billion to the Argentinians, right, to bail out their bonds and import Argentinian beef, right? $20 billion to Argentina that we do nothing in trade with them, absolutely nothing, right? And we can't. I mean, the policy of the U.S. government is this: you got Americans who can barely afford to put food on the table. You have Americans who have to decide whether to pay their medical bill or their mortgage or their rent. You have Americans who are 2 paychecks away from being homeless. You have Americans who are about to lose their health care benefits. You have all these problems, social problems that affect real people, right? And the policy of the United States government is fuck off and die. That's basically what it is. That's basically what the policy of the United States government is. Fuck off and die. Amazing. Amazing. Our system does not work. It does not work. It is ineffective. And I don't know what this is going to do on the other side of this glass, man. This is horrible, Cowboy.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Like I said, I don't. Not that this is good for views and clicks, but I'm long past being upset about it. If I were to solve the EBT problem, and it's the same for me as the healthcare problem, I actually, I got on Joaquin Flores, one of his live shows about 2-3 months ago. He thought I was going to debate him, but no, I actually just agree with him. When it comes to healthcare, the actual cost of healthcare, just like with EBT, it's very, very cheap. The problem with, and I'm talking about the healthcare itself, not what we lump on top of it to use to pay off politicians and middlemen, right? So, unfortunately, while I am not a socialist, and while I do not agree with, hampering private business, it's got to be done in a way where all these middlemen get cut out, so people can actually get what they need. Food and healthcare should not cost as much as it does, and a healthy nation is what's going to move forward. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, somebody said it right there. Ski 45, they buy junk food anyway. Well, it's my understanding, at least for maybe not now, but for a time, you could only buy the items that they tell you could buy with the SNAP cards. And I think that's now changed where it's just, you have some money and you can buy what it is. But there are so many things that can be done, even in the current state, to fix things. And we do what we can to raise awareness here. But, if you're going to complain, then go do something. If you're going to complain, like we're here on the show, I even put my face on the internet, like we're doing something here to raise awareness, right? But if you're going to complain about your country, go do something. Now, if I were to solve this problem, I would have I would start by pushing this problem onto the states because it's a cheap problem. EBT is not very much money. There's far more money being spent in other benefits, other ways. So I would just start to push all those kind of issues onto the states and let them deal with it. California takes in a ton of money, and I would venture to guess 80 to 90% of it goes in graft to their fucking rich people. Yep. So let California be responsible for EBT. And let it be like, okay, the United States as a government for 6 months is going to send EBT money apportioned per person to the state at this dollar amount. And then the states need to take over it after that. And people aren't going to like it, but so what? Then that money is, and just we need to push that kind of thing onto the states so they can be held accountable. And then the states can push it to county level. Because there's nothing that can be done on a national level. We're not going to go walk to Washington, D.C. and have a conversation with, Nancy Pelosi or whoever, right? But you could go to city council. You could deal with things at a local level. And that's probably how things need to do. And believe it or not, I know nobody wants to hear this, but that's, believe it or not, how things work in China. Isn't that right, V?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. No, the Chinese economies, and you got people have never fucking been to China, don't know anybody in China, and they're going to tell us how China runs, right? But China actually it's run more locally than you think, and it's sad that a country like China that's supposed to be this terrible communist place with social welfare not welfare, but social system. 90% of Chinese own their own fucking house. 90% of Chinese people own their own fucking house. We can't do better than China here in the greatest country on earth.
Yeah.
Are we still the greatest country on earth?
I mean, the whole saying goes, if somebody does something better, right? If somebody makes a better product, what do? We buy it, right? If somebody makes a better, car, we buy it. Somebody makes a better sandwich, we buy it, right? If somebody has a better way of doing something, why the hell are we not doing something similar and then try to make it and try to improve upon it? It's not about that. For us, it's all about for our leadership, it's all about the grift and the graft. They're all fucking lawyers, and that's the problem. Lawyers are the problem. And that's why the system cannot work for the 21st century, the century of high-speed internet, the century of data, the century of AI, the century of rapid change, rapid technological development. This system doesn't work. The system is only good at robbing and pillaging itself and its own citizenry. That's all it's good for. It's only good for grift and graft. That's it.
It is right now. I think that's it's how the system, unfortunately, it's a feature, not a bug, right? Like that's where we are. And that's a sad thing to say. And it's the truth, and I don't know. That's why I'm still of the opinion that until things financially collapse, you're not going to change it, because the people who are running things, they don't want that to change. They're making lots of money.
Yeah.
And they're extracting it. And it doesn't stay here in this country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's the end of it on my end, my man. I think we've covered a gambit. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, sir.
Okay. Folks, that being said, we're at the end of the program. We'll be back tomorrow. We got Ben Keller in, so keep it locked and loaded right here. RogueNews.com. Take it away, Cowboy.